Ka whakarongoa ki te tangi a te manu nei a te mātui. Tui, 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 tui a. Tui ai runga, tui ai raro. Tui ai waho, tui ai roto. Tui e te here tangata ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao. Tui e te muka tangata I takia mai, huai ki nui, huai ki roa, huai ki pāma mao. Te hono ki wairua ki te whai au, ki te ao mārama, tihei, mauri ora.
Right, have we got any apologies? Marty has been online. I take it that he's here at the meeting. It's not on. Any other apologies come in?
Can we just check, Chair, is he not on, Marty?
I can't see him. He's not on the line.
Shall I bring him?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just go to item 4, which is declarations of conflict of interests. Anybody in the room have any conflict of interest in the agenda?
I will abstain on the emergency services vote.
First of all, we're just waiting for the apologies to come in. We'll just conflict of interests. Just don't want to move too far ahead. We're waiting for Marty, because we need confirmation of the minutes.
I could move a
proceed. Okay, just proceed. Okay.
I could move a apology for lateness for Marty. He might have had a traffic problem.
Okay.
No, he's joining online today.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. He was online, but he's just dropped off. That's all.
Okay.
Doesn't work either.
Okay.
He's just joining now.
Okay, so we take that there is no apologies. Can I have a mover?
Happy to move it,
please. John Blackwell. A seconder?
Yep, Amy.
Amy. Thanks, Amy. Okay, confirmation of the minutes on page 7.
And I'm happy to second that.
Jacob Lucas. Any issues with the minutes? All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Okay, go to page 17. Receipt of action sheet, item 5.2.
Happy to move that the action sheet is received.
Have a second. Have a second. Will be. Yes.
Yep. I've got a comment.
Yep.
Just want to check if it's got here on that first item, 4th of September. So it's now the 11th of September, isn't it? That we're discussing the Poplar and Willow Nursery. Is that correct? We're not doing it next week.
We've got
Correct. 11th. Yeah. So can we just? I think we should correct that.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
No other responses on the receipt? Okay. All in favour?
Aye. Aye.
Against? Okay, carried. All right, external managed funds, investment funds, page 21. Page 20, I've got 21 on my sheet, sorry. Okay, 6.1. Okay, we have Simon Crabb in the room. We have 6 recommendations. I think I'd like to recommend 1 to open with.
You can do one at a time.
We'll just do 1 and then we'll take all the other 5. 1 is just the it's received.
I'll second.
Okay. Have a move. Moved and seconded. Okay. Any discussions on the other 5 items?
You're moving. I'll move all 5.
You want to move all 5?
Yep.
Okay.
So should we just put the first recommendation, we've got a mover and a seconder, so.
Yep.
Put that to the floor.
Yep. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Any discussion around, Rick, you want to take all the other 5 together?
3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Yep.
Okay. We have a mover for that. So any seconder for that?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. Tui? Okay, Rick, you got
No,
any
we've
discussion?
discussed all these. They've been out in the public for a few days. I'm very happy to move them all. I just think it's prudent that we've mentioned them. It's important that we get on with it. So let's do it. Thank you.
Okay, Tui, you did second it. Would you like a second right of reply?
I think it's, it's good process that we've followed in discussing these. I'd like to thank the staff for helping us to get to this point, and looking forward to, seeing the work unfold in the future. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, Jack, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just a point of information in recommendation 6. That all withdrawals from and placements into the managed investment funds are undertaken in line with advice from Ericsson Global. I don't remember us seeing that particular recommendation before. What happens if they give us advice contrary to what we intend to do here? What would be the
Okay, we've got Simon
Simon or Bruce to answer?
Yeah, would you like to come forward, Simon? Did you hear the question, all right?
Yeah, the first direction will come from Jonathan. If we disagree, Bruce and the CE will discuss it and go back to Jonathan with our doubts and make a decision from there. So it's not a definite, whatever Jonathan says, but it is the start of our decision-making process.
So what I'm worried about there is the implications for the other, for the 2, 3, 4 and 5 recommendations.
Okay, John's got a response.
Kia ora, Chair, and just to clarify if I could, so the resolutions that you've got here through 2, 3, 5 are to either invest in the long or short-term funds. The advice we get from Jonathan Erickson is within those funds and the different investment options that we've got, which is going to provide the best return on our investment. So they won't conflict with any of your resolutions.
Just
here.
where, not how much.
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
thank you. No further questions.
We have had these recommendations before from Ericsson Global, and we have normally followed them. So it's not the first time. Definitely not the first time.
Yeah, so it's the where, not the how much.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, we're up to page 56, which is request for approval to carry forward operational budget from the 23 to 24 financial year into the 24 to 25 financial year, item 6.2. We've got 2 recommendations here. The second recommendation has 2 parts to it, has an A and a B. Do I have a mover for that?
I'd like to move both of them, thanks.
Okay. Do I have a seconder to back that up?
I'll second.
Jack? Okay, Rick?
Again, we've discussed these in depth, and it has been out again in the public area, and I think the staff, we've worked through it. For me, we just get on with it, thanks.
Okay, Jack, would you like to write a reply?
Just a little question as to why no start was made on the predator-free fungal array program. The 445k is quite a lot of money. Is it like an explanation for it if we could?
Caden's online, Chair. I'm not sure if he's in a position to provide a detailed update there.
Caden, can you hear us clearly? Okay, we take it that he's not involved at the moment, so.
I'll refer that back. I'll refer that back to Don.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other replies for that? Okay, all in favour?
Right.
Against? All right, page 59, item 6.3. Request for approval to carry forward capital expenditure budget from the 23 to 24 financial budget into the 24-25 financial budget. We have 2 recommendations. Do I have a mover to take both?
I'll have it.
Okay, Joe,
I'll have a second.
Rick. Floor for discussion, Joe.
No, we've discussed it all, and it's capex that hasn't been fulfilled, so I'm comfortable.
Okay. What about you, Rick?
No.
You happy?
Yeah,
Okay,
very
all in
happy.
favour?
Aye.
Against? Passed. Okay, we're up to page item 6.4, which is on page 66. Okay, so this is the 23 to 24 provisional financial year end result. We have got 5 recommendations here. No, we've got 14. Okay, do I have somebody just to receive the result, or if somebody wants to take 14 at once?
I'll have a receipt.
All 14?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay,
Just to see
receive
it
it.
all 14, Chair?
He just wants to move one. Okay, and it's got a seconder.
I see.
Yeah, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Joe, would you like to talk on?
Yeah, look, council, I'm going to vote against the following recommendations. Quite concerned. I've earlier made a request that we get our auditor to actually provide us a comment on our carryovers. We've got an incredible amount of carryovers. That seen now 3 annual reports that have got strong levels of carryover. And I believe that there are instances where a carryover of operational expenditure is appropriate, but generally I don't think they are. So rather than tease them through one by one, I'm just going to give you my reasons why. I think this council's habitually using carryovers to actually make expenditures in areas that haven't gone through the annual plan process, and they really are significant. And I think our way to actually deal with this with integrity is actually when we've got generally what we should do with our carryovers, we should put them into a specific reserve to offset rating in the following year. And we don't do that. And generally, okay, I think, you know, bits of what we do is acceptable, but I think we've got to have a general theme of actually putting this money into reserve. So what we've done effectively in striking a rate when we have considerably big operational surpluses is we've overrated, and we need to put that funding into a reserve. I don't like the way we sit around and think and develop a wish list of a whole lot of projects that have got merit but could have gone through an annual plan process. So that's my position, and so I won't be supporting in generality the following recommendations in this item.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
I'll be recording my vote against it.
Yep.
In the same vein as Joe, I was one of the councillors that was very keen on a lower rate increase, which we didn't get. Out in the community, people have spoken to pay their accounts. It's not a time to be raising 16%, I believe. And these surpluses seem to be year in, year out. While I prefer it's a surplus rather than a loss, we seem to be keep running at quite a high rate. So I suggest that maybe Joe's suggestion about maybe putting it into to help next year's general rate decrease, or less than a given rate rise less than what it would be, I would support that. Thank you.
Okay, so you're wanting to put a recommendation?
Yeah, I'd move in that direction that we actually form a reserve, specifically for the bulk of our operational surpluses. I'm not trying to tear it apart and say X, Y, and Z, but I believe that this should have gone through to audit, finance, and risk and been discussed at detail at that committee rather than having a whole council take up time. You know, probably 80% of our operational services should go in such a reserve fund. So I'd move in that direction. We form a reserve fund, and then that's a future body of work that we determine exactly what falls into that fund and what follows the form that's suggested in this general item.
Okay, Jono's put his hand up. He's got a response.
I need a second.
Oh, okay.
I have a second.
You second it. So then, put it to the vote?
Oh, no,
No,
you want a discussion,
a discussion?
please.
Open discussion. Any other comments? Jono, you had a comment?
You,
Come on.
John,
Your Chair, just if I could provide just a little bit of context to what you've got here. So just if you have a look at the table 1 that's in your executive summary, this is what we've workshopped with council twice to date before we brought it to council today. If you, in particular, if I could draw your attention to A, which is the provisional operational surplus, that's your rating component of the surplus. The provisional surplus gains, the $4.1 million, those are the gains from your externally managed funds. Of that, $1.7 million of that is gains that we've received from our externally managed funds. That's over and above what we budgeted for. Also, Simon, can you just remind me how much? 1.1 million of it is what we had budgeted to otherwise recap, but council had provided, so recapitalise onto our managed funds, but councillors had provided us the indication that you'd like to be able to not keep building that bank balance and actually use some of those funds for some of this mihi. So we brought that into, so it would actually have been $1 million less if we hadn't done that. And this is, okay, I guess this is the process that council has also always gone through with our surpluses. We go through and have a look, where are the logical areas where this should either be used to, so this is offsetting rates by using it for these purposes, or you could put it back into your bank account and you can get more gains from it, or as Councillor Carr has said, you could put it into a reserve for a decision later on, but it's still going to be a decision like this, it's just a decision later on. Just the final one I just want to highlight is that we have built into this LTP, you'll recall that we got our auditors to come and have a look at our salary surplus and what we've run, and we provide some modelling over the last 5 years, what our salary surpluses have looked like, and they've approved us to recruit FTE over and above what we've got salary for, to be able to then use our salary surplus. So we haven't actually collected rates through this LTP for a number of roles. So, and what was the percentage, Simon? 2.5%? So that was their first cut at going, okay, we recognise that there's a spend in our salary surplus by turnover of staff. We'll look to use that salary surplus to fund those FTE. So we're trying to manage that, so we shouldn't be seen as much of a surplus in the salary bucket moving forward, because you guys have approved and auditors approved that mechanism. The other one I'd just like to highlight, that if you have a look under forecasted surplus resilience, the $1.07 million that you're looking at putting away aside is using the surplus here to be able to go, when you're in your annual plan process next year, so that if we do have a surplus at that point, you can actually use that surplus and not raise rates. So that's a mechanism that finance came up, that council has previously workshopped and supported, so that you can do exactly what Councillor Carr is saying and going, actually, we don't want to raise rates for this. We know we've got a surplus. This here provides you the ability to use that in advance. It provides you a financial backstop to be able to make that decision on advance. So we are trying
the narrative, I believe.
I guess what I'm trying to acknowledge is Councillor Carr does have a good point there, and we've tried to account for some of that moving forward as well.
but if I just ask a question of clarification. So on page number 62, the attachment 1, you've got provisional, actual, revised budget, and you've got variance. The revised budget is the revised annual plan budget.
Which one is that?
Can I ask Simon to look at that? I'm not quite sure exactly what's page on there, Councillor.
Oh, sorry,
Oh, you're looking at previous agenda item?
6.3.
Oh, 6.3.
Yeah,
You're jumping ahead.
yeah. I'm just referring to how we read our budgets. Okay, and you might be able to help me. So on that one, we've got this is because I talk in generalities right across this whole issue with transferring OPEX into reserves and how we treat our carryovers. So we've got a revised budget, and what we've done over the past few months, incrementally, we have put funds, surpluses in a piecemeal manner into our reserves. And we've actually, I understand we revised our annual planning budget. There's not actually a line there showing the actual annual plan budget as approved through our process. I just wonder if you could explain that to me. The revised budget, I understand that to be the revised annual plan budget.
61.
Yeah.
62. 3. Attachment 1. Thank you. 6.3, attachment 1.
So you're looking at the bottom line is 68.
It's pretty beside. We're just talking about capex in this case, and I'm just using this to demonstrate how I believe that we don't actually do the comparative back to the actual approved annual plan.
Are you making the point there, councillor? I'm just looking at attachment 1, and where you've got biosecurity there, for example, is that the top line there, and you've got revised budget versus provisional actual. And your commentary is that the
This is in the previous item, I'm talking about capex in this case, just using that as an example.
and you're making the comment that the actual LTP original budget
Isn't shown in a column.
you just talk through, Simon, the process of what the revised budget versus what was put out in the annual plan budget, and that I think that's your question, isn't it, councillor? Okay.
Thank you.
So just so clear, we're talking about the capital
Look, we are using this as an example.
of capital budget, original versus
This
revised.
just we're talking about the format of how our financials are presented to us. So
Okay, so yes, the original budget will be published in the annual plan. And then
yeah, but where's that here?
yes, it's not there because during the year we've always reported against the revised budget.
Yes, we revise it as we go through the
Correct.
year.
So it's revised during the year based on councillor and approved resolutions.
So that's my point. We're making this incremental adjustments throughout the year, and then we're comparing it to our revised budget, not an annual plan budget. And we do that with OPEX too. And that's my concern. You should run a column which has got your actual annual plan budget there as well. And we don't do it, so that when we're going back to the consultant based information that this council has consulted on, resolved to do, we're not comparing what we're doing with it. And that's my problem.
Good, Chair. I'm happy to take it as an action to go away and have a good discussion with finance. I can't see why we can't do what councillor Carr is asking for, adding in a table. So you're asking for our future reporting to have another column there that says what our actual, not what our revised is, based on decisions that are made through the year, but you want the baseline of 1 July what it was.
Yes, because what we're doing with our surpluses we're saying is compared to our revised budget, not our actual annual plan budget. And that's my concern. I go to the bank manager and I do that.
Simon, have you got anything you want to add to that?
In terms, yes, please. In terms of the profit and loss operational result, bottom line surplus, bottom line after transfers to reserves is here. It's the same in the annual plan as it is in the revised. Bottom line, $68,000. That's the same. So if you get some subsidy that you've unbudgeted for and you have a program introduced, they'll offset each other, and overall, everything that's introduced does not affect the bottom line from when we published the annual plan. We can, yes, probably another column is a good idea, but I can assure you that the bottom line figure is the same.
It's all right, councillor Carroll, I'll take that as an action.
Yeah.
And we'll have a look at having a actual column in there, so then you can do that comparison that you're wanting to do.
Because I got stood up by an accountant over this, who's observed what we're doing, and it really questions why we aren't going back to our actual approved resolved annual plan and all our comparatives. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I
Thank
said
you.
I voted against
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
So can I just clarify, Chair, that we are speaking to an amendment to not support recommendations 2 to 14 and 6.4. Is that what we're doing?
We've got a new new recommendation.
That's what
on
I'm
the table,
speaking
which
to
would
now.
Effectively,
Yep. Can you make sure I
Do you
got
want to just read out the resolution?
well, just as was spoken, recommendation was that council form a reserve for the bulk of its operational surpluses.
So I don't support that. Definitely do not support the amendment. So I think we've had we've discussed this numerous times. This has come up, and we've had an explanation from staff about how we have accommodated Councillor Carr's concerns, and I think they've been addressed. They've definitely been addressed, and we pointed out in the document and to the tables where they've been addressed. The point I'd like to make is yes, we're lucky to have the surplus. It's part luck, but it's also a phenomenal amount of hard work on behalf of the staff, on behalf of our advisors, and on behalf of our independent advisors. There's a huge amount of work goes in to get the surplus. We cannot, I believe, put this money aside each time. We may not have the surplus next year for whatever reasons, investment reasons, whatever. So to me, it's a one-off. We use it as we can. And it cannot go on the long-term plan because the long-term plan is simply that, a 10-year plan. We are talking about a 1-year surplus that may or may not be there in the future. So I am fully supportive of the recommendations. I am against the amendment. Thank you.
Okay, open the floor. Any other discussion?
Well,
Joe,
just
you'd like
a
to respond?
clarification.
Yep.
I did qualify as operational surpluses in that motion.
That's correct.
Not from external or from our investment income.
Some of
It
it.
was operational.
So that
I'm
you,
referring to.
just to clarify, so you just refer your $807,000 that's in table 1 in the summary.
Plus any operational surpluses that come around from the so-called revisions we make throughout the year. I want to see clearly a clear statement of the true operational surpluses based on the annual plan for the year. And we do all this incremental stuff throughout the year, and I believe we're at the stage that we don't actually fully recognise our surpluses.
But we have done 2 to 14, which includes externally managed funds. So we can't have half and half. We've got to
Well, you've chosen to move. I just said, look, what I'll do is I actually support the CapEx stuff. It's really the previous item. I just talked about my problem with the OPEX stuff, and you've got them all lumped together. Well, that's okay. So seeing them lumped together, I just won't support the recommendation. But I am focused on the operational surpluses. I want to see, I need to get a better understanding of it, the way we revise our annual plan throughout the year. If it doesn't leave you confused, it leaves me confused. I don't think we should do it. And previously, I asked for our auditors to actually give a view on this matter.
Okay, Jack's got a response.
Yeah, I have a question. Joe, are you talking about reassigning current surpluses, or are you talking about for future years? Because I mean, if you're talking about the current reserve, then we have to unpick which of these that we've already agreed that we'd transfer to, and unpick them one by one. Do you intend to do that?
Well, you know, during discussions at that time, I've always expressed a similar vein to what I'm saying now. And so, you know, look, I accept the council can resolve matters and have a majority view. But when it comes to this item and it's put in front of us, I just say what we've done incrementally, bit by bit, actually leaves us a situation showing that suggests we haven't made very significant operational surpluses, and we have, one reason or another.
Well, I suggest in that case, Mr. Chairman, that it's a matter for discussion at a future date for
Audit, risk and finance.
For future years, and we let this one lie as it is. But I'll certainly be voting against that amendment.
Okay, yeah, but Joe still has amendment 2.
Yeah.
Do you just understand that we need to move forward? Thank you for your feedback, Councillor Carr. I understand it's a matter of, the numbers aren't changing. It's more of a matter of presentation, and Councillor Carr's expressing the way in which he can, he would prefer to be presented the information. And I'm sure that our staff will take that on board. For me, having the staff to make changes and that, we already have a huge workload. We've been told by the Prime Minister last week to go line by line, and I believe we do as a council, but also we need to go line by line in terms of the workloads that we're pressing onto staff. And so is this a big thing that we really need to change operationally? I don't think so right now, but I do respect Councillor Carr's feedback, and I hope to see, perhaps Jono and the team may come back in a future date with another way. But in the meantime, I will be voting against. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, Marty Robinson, and then we need to move on.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's there's quite a lot of discussion around the table at the moment. I certainly appreciate what Joe and what John has agreed with. I'd be prepared to let the matter lie on the table, because we obviously need to talk about it a little bit more to get absolute clarity. So I'd move that the matter be left, or the matter be left to lie on the table, and that we do workshop it and get a bit of a better understanding of how we should move forward.
Okay, so we've got John O's the last response, and then we need to move on.
Chair, just to clarify, it can't lay on the table, as in we need to have our year-end financials to know where the money's sitting. It's either going to these projects or it goes into a reserve and sits for future decisions like what you've got here on the table.
So we have on page 73, we've got 5 options that staff have presented, 6 options actually. But first of all, we need to move on whether we support Joe and John's change. So could you just read that out again?
That council form a reserve for the bulk of its operational surpluses.
Okay, so we need to vote on that. All in favour?
Oh, no, I wanted to include it for the purpose of offsetting the next year's rates. Yeah, please. I did mention that.
Okay, well, we're just going to move on. All in favour?
Aye.
That's 3. Against? Not carried. Right. So I'll go back to items
2 to 14.
2 to 14.
Can I move those?
I'll second them.
Okay. Rick, would you like to have a discussion on that?
I think we had enough to
We've
say.
discussed it enough.
Discussed it enough, Mr. Chairman.
Joe, John? Okay.
I'd just like to say that we can address Joan's concerns at another meeting regarding future years. I think it's a valid point, but that we've already agreed at previous meeting what we're going to do with these surpluses. So let's just move forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Yeah.
Marty, sorry, how did you vote?
Not in favour.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Move on to page 75, special reserves, item 6.5. We have that the report of special reserves at the 30th of June 2024 by Tucker Skipworth, financial accountant, and dated the 5th of August 2024 be received.
I'm happy to second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay. Page 87, regional rates collection, 2023 to
Mr. Chairman, can I move a vote of thanks to staff for that report? I think that report's incredibly clear and logical. We all know exactly where we are at with terms of repayments and how much money is going into projects and repayments of the debt. So I find these reports very, very useful. So thank you.
Okay. Item page 87, item 6.6. Okay, regional rates collection 2023-2024. Report from Simon Crabb. This report, regional rates collection 2023-2024 by Simon Crabb, finance manager, and dated 19th of July 2024 be received.
I'll move. Yeah.
Okay, Joe. We have a second.
I have to second it.
John. It's virtually all in favour. All right.
Aye.
Against. And against, passed. Okay, turn down to page 91. Item 6.7. NRC's overall investment portfolio, dated the 30th of June 2024, balance and annual returns. Report from Simon Crabb, Finance Manager. Just got one item. The report, NRC overall investment portfolio, 30th of June 2024, balance and annual returns by Simon Crabb, Finance Manager, dated the 6th of August 2024, be received. Do I have a mover? John
I'm happy to second that.
and Amy. That was pretty straightforward.
Yep.
All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, turning down to the page of page 93. Local government electoral legislation and Maori wards and Maori constitutiones amended Act 2024, decision by council to retain or to establish Maori constitution. That's how you say it. Item 7.1. Okay, the report from Julian Hanson. Okay, we've got two recommendations. That the report, local government electoral legislation, Maori wards and Maori constitutiones amended Act 2024, decision by council to retain and establish Maori constitutionally by Julian Hanson. Okay, we've got two items.
Yeah.
I'm happy to move.
I'm happy to move them both together.
Okay,
Second.
Tui and. Okay, do we have discussion? Tui?
Yes, I have some words, thank you, Chair Jeff. Today, as we deliberate the future of our Te Raki Māori ward, we are not just deciding on a matter of governance. We are deciding on the strength and future of our partnership with Māori communities. This ward is not merely two seats at our table. It is a critical bridge between this council and tangata whenua, whose knowledge, experience and leadership are essential to the well-being of our region. Our work in flood mitigation, emergency management and environmental protection relies heavily on the relationships we have built with Māori communities. These are not just transactional connections. They are partnerships rooted in trust, mutual respect and shared responsibility. The Te Raki Māori ward is key to fostering these relationships, ensuring that the voices of Māori are not only heard, but actively contribute to the resilience and sustainability of our region. Without this ward, we risk weakening these vital connections. We risk losing the insights and guidance that Māori communities provide. Insights that are grounded in generations of knowledge about the land, the waters, and the unique challenges our region faces. In times of crisis such as floods or other emergencies, it is these relationships that enable us to act swiftly, effectively, in a way that honours our shared responsibilities. Some may argue that retaining the ward as divisive or unnecessary, but let us be clear, this is not about race or special treatment. It is about ensuring equity and effectiveness in our council's work. It is about acknowledging that Māori have a rightful place in the decision-making processes that affect their lands and communities. Without the Te Raki Māori ward, our ability to serve all our communities, especially in critical areas like flood mitigation, environmental protection, and emergency response, would be diminished. Te Tiriti o Waitangi is the cornerstone of our nation, and it calls us to a partnership that is real, active, and enduring. Retaining the Te Raki Māori ward is an affirmation of our commitment to this partnership and to the future of our region. It is not just the right thing to do, it is the essential for our continued success and safety of our communities. I urge you, my fellow councillors, to vote in favour of retaining the Māori ward today. Let us stand together in recognition of Te Tiriti, in recognition of the partnerships that safeguard our region, and in recognition of our shared commitment to a future where all voices are valued and all communities are protected. Kia ora mai tātou. Thank you, Jeff.
Nice words, strong words. Okay, Rick.
I think that we said
Back that up. Any other conversation?
Yeah,
Amy.
kia ora, thank you. Chloe, great words. Does feel a bit inadequate to go after you. I guess I just want to speak on behalf of the councillors that went through our representation review. Well, I'm only speaking on behalf of myself, but I was a councillor who went through the representation review last triennium, which is where we resolved to establish the Māori constituency Te Raki. And I just want to remind us all and anyone else who's listening in that that was a really thorough process of learning, growth, shared understanding, a real step forward for NRC from my perspective. We heard from a huge range of experts from around New Zealand. We heard really strongly from different local groups. We did hear different voices, but as a council, we went through that process of learning and understanding, and we had councillors move from a position of feeling strongly against Māori seats. Through that process of learning and growing, they became strongly for. So that's one of the reasons that we ended up establishing it, is that we had the opportunity to really understand the context and really understand what it means and why it's so important. And I guess that's the fundamental issue we have around putting in place the polling, where such a decision goes out to our community, is it's very hard to ensure everybody has that similar level of understanding, context, history, everything that brought us to that decision, which I felt was really robust. I guess, yeah, so the new bill that we are grappling with as a council, it doesn't really give us a decision. You know, we're forced into a polar decision, neither of which really actually match our values. And it's reintroducing discrimination essentially against Māori wards, because it puts a higher bar in place for Māori wards than other wards, and there are different types of wards in local government, and they're used all the time as a tool to ensure you get good representation at the table to do the work that you need to do on behalf of the people that you represent. So I see this bill as a step backwards, and I'm disappointed that we're here today, but I guess it gives us an opportunity to remind ourselves why it's so important. And yeah, I just want to reinforce that for Northland to move forward, we've got to move forward together. And our Te Raki constituency here at NRC is such an important component of that togetherness. It's not always about being the same or thinking the same or having the same perspective, but if we aren't able to come together and debate and share different ideas and challenge each other, how could we do anything that was what is needed for our region to transform and be the best it can be in the future? So I really support recommendation 2, and I just wanted to put forward an amendment to that recommendation. So in addition to the wording that is there, to add on to the end, I can email you the wording if you want, Chris. So after Te Raki Māori in brackets, and that the CEO provide further information to council on potential implications of council not proceeding with a binding referendum. And that's not pushing us anywhere, but it's opening us up to fully understanding, you know, this bill has come through in a real rush. It's been pushed through very quickly by this government, and we haven't really had a chance to fully understand its implications. So it's just in addition to that recommendation 2, so we can fully understand what the government is asking of us. The risks that holds for us as a region and for NRC, and then to understand, the legal implications and other implications of whether we proceed or not.
Sure. Okay, Marty had his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Jack. Marty?
Yeah, well, seeing as I've got my hand up, I'd be prepared to second that amendment of Amy's, or the addition to the motion by Amy. I thought both Tui and Amy have spoken well of what I've always thought. We went through quite a process in the last triennium, and I thought came up with the right answer. Some say that we're already presently well served already by elected Māori members and Māori input, but we must ensure Māori participation in all layers of local and central government, and it's Te Raki Māori wards that will ensure that participation on a governance level to ensure input and decision making at the table, as we do at present. I believe we should carry on with it. Kia ora.
Okay, Jack?
Yes, I was prepared to second the amendment, but Marty's gotten ahead of me, so thank you. I support the amendment simply because it gives us another level of assurance about where we end up moving forward, because I know Palmerston North is questioning the legality of the bill, and so we're being forced to vote on something that hasn't been passed by law yet. So by all means, let's get the full legal position. Secondly, I'd like to point this out, that the creation of Te Raki Māori Ward was that as a response to constitutional law in New Zealand and our responsibilities under the Treaty of Waitangi. It was not done just as a gesture of pure kindness or inclusion or anything. It's a legal matter, and our creation of the Te Raki Ward is a response that is legally robust and defendable. Thank you.
Okay. No other discussion? Because we're working on Amy's.
Oh, sorry.
change. Okay, so Paul will speak to it. Okay, what do you want to speak to it?
Essentially, if everyone votes for Amy's change, then the other one don't go back.
Okay, we don't go back to it. So Amy's made an amendment. Do you want to read it out, Chris?
Sure. So it was an amendment to recommendation 2, that council resolve to retain its existing Māori constituency, Te Raki Māori, and that the CEO provide further information on the further implications of council not proceeding with a binding referendum. Is that correct?
Yeah.
If John doesn't want to speak, I would like to speak.
Okay, we'll just John.
Well, I was actually talking about Amy's vote. I was going back in history of this council about the Māori Woods, and it was really in the news, and it really upset a lot of people, particularly my region. And it came down to the largest petition that this council's ever seen. And this council chose to ignore it as far as I can see. We've got to take people along with us when we make these decisions, and I don't think we did what we did as a council back then. And I do feel that, interesting, I've had 39 emails, I think you all have, objecting to this. That hasn't been spoken about today. So there is a lot of people that are anti this at the moment, and yeah, I won't be voting for it. So thank
you. Lucas?
Tēnā koe te hea mana e hiahi ana hau ki te whakamahi I te ratonga hei whakamāori. O tira e mihi ana hau kia koutou kua whakaai mai kia tautoko I tēnei kaupapa kia noho ponu ngā tūru Māori ki roto o tēnei kāwanatanga ārohe. E hara I te mea no inaia nei, he whawhai. Kia tū nei āhuatanga ara ngā wāri Māori ki roto I ngā kaunihera I te taitokera, I te whānuitanga o te taitokera. Engari ko tāku kia tātou, ko te tikanga Māori, te ture tuatahi o tēnei wāhi, o tēnei motu o Aotearoa. Tātahi, ka hainatia te tiriti o Waitangi. Te pepa e horerotia ana I Wainganui I ngā kaitoranga pū I te motu whānui I tēnei wā. Mā te whakatūturitanga o ngā wāri Māori o te raki ki te kaunihera ārohe o te taitokerau e whai wāhi ai. Ngā reo o ngā hapori Māori e whai wāhi ai e tahi atu whakaaro no tēnei rohe hoki o te taitokerau ki tēnei tēpu matua. E noho nei tātou I tēnei wā ki te whakatau I ngā take nui, ki te whakatau I te huarahi haere whakamua mō tātou katoa. Nō reira e tautoko ana hau kia noho tonu ngā tūru me te rohe o te raki ki tēnei kaunihera o te taitokera. Koia tēnā taku kōrero kia tātou e whai wāhi ai. Aha koa ngā petihana e kōrero hia ana e hone. He maha ngā petihana kua mauria e ngā whānau, e ngā hapu, me ngā iwi I roto I ngā tau. Nui no atu ngā petihana mo ngā tika Māori. I ngā petihana kua whakatakotohia hei whakakahore I te āhuatanga o ngā tika o te Māori I roto i ngā take nui o Aotearoa, i ngā take nui o te taitoke rau hoki. Nō reira, tēnā taku kōrero, tēnā tātou katoa.
Kia ora. Okay, any other conversation around this?
Can we just clarify that, Chair, that if we vote on this now, that's it?
Yep.
That becomes the substantive motion. There's further opportunities for further amendments. So that's the live.
That's it.
Any other amendment? Oh,
Yeah, can I just, am I allowed to speak again?
It's the right of reply is actually on the original recommendation. So that actually falls back to Tui.
I'm happy to give you my space, Amy.
Thank you, Chloe. I think, John, you raised some comments which are worth acknowledging, and I agree with you that there is a need to bring the people with us, and that, you know, when we step forward in a way that feels transformational, it can, for some people, make them feel uncomfortable. So I just want to do some fundamental reminders to give everyone assurance. So this is the Te Raki constituency is just the same as any of our other constituencies. It's one vote per person. Everybody has the same level of representation. It's no different to the rural wards or the urban wards, things like that, which we use all the time in local government. And that when we took this decision to create the Māori constituency here in Northland, that was local government catching up with what central government has done for generations. We were really far behind because of the legislation that governed us. So this wasn't a revolution. This was us trying to get up to date with modern ways of thinking and modern politics. And some of those emails that have been coming refer to the fact that we have such strong representation in central government of Māori, and that is because they use the Māori electoral roll and there's Māori seats. So it's interesting for me when I read those emails, they reinforced what we're trying to do here by upholding the Māori wards. And I just want to encourage people that if something is making you feel really uncomfortable or worried, it can be really helpful just to learn a bit more about it. And so there's a really great organisation here in the north called Network Waitangi, and they have amazing resources online. They run great courses. So if you've got real reservations about what's happening here, and there's been a lot of media that does make it feel a little bit hyped up, learn a bit more about it. And any constituents who I represent, you're welcome to get in touch, and I can help connect you with places to develop your understanding, because I really believe if we all have that shared knowledge, we could all feel a lot more comfortable with what we're doing here. So kia ora. Thank you, Tui, for giving me a little bit of time. Good on you.
okay.
So in this here, this is just a procedural question. When this amendment's put, Jono says we will not have any further discussion on the motion at all. The revised motion.
That's right.
Just to defer to Chris, my understanding is if you vote for it, it then becomes a substantive motion, then you have to vote again.
With no further discussion.
Once you've voted on the resolution, then this is your time to discuss if you want to.
Because, well, also, if I may even speak to the amendment, I think the fact that you've done the amendment actually puts us in a position, puts me in a position, is that I was prepared to vote for 2, so I can see some benefits. Well, largely Māori weren't involved with the local government, so you see a lot of benefits from it. But once again, we're doing what previous councillor brought this in, was just saying, and we want no further discussion. What we want to do is prevent what was a legislative process at the time that Te Raki was formed. We're doing it again. I think that the amendment is not wise, and what you're going to do is just bring a focus onto this council, and you're just going to create a divide. I think it's an unnecessary amendment.
Can I ask a procedural question then? Is there a way that we can separate it so that Councillor Carr can vote in support of recommendation 2, if he feels comfortable, and that there's either an additional recommendation or some way to separate it so that councillors can vote if they view differently on.
Whether it surely is.
I'm happy to move that it go to a recommendation 3. So there are actually 3 recommendations. The second one is as is written. The third one is that we ask for advice as to how we can proceed.
I don't see any issue with your amendment being split into 3, and we could address those 3 components separately if that's a way of getting the majority of support for some and not others. If that would be a higher level of comfort, it's literally just a full stop in a sentence.
Thank you. I'm comfortable with that. So just as long as we get it right procedurally.
Yep. So and Marty seconded that, and he's happy with that. So
Sorry, I think Peter Lucas actually was the seconder first, but he did it in Te Reo, so.
I think there were a number of seconders, so it's the chair's responsibility to pick one. So I'm not sure who picked on that occasion.
So, Chair, Chris, can we clarify? The second motion, Tui moved, I seconded.
So the original recommendations 1 and 2
1 and
moved
2.
by Tui,
Yeah.
seconded by yourself, and then the amendment was moved by Amy. And now I'm not sure whether it was Councillor Jones
Well,
or
there were 3 of us that seconded it. It was myself, Jack, and Martin.
I was last on the list.
Oh.
And so
Okay, so we'll say Peter Lucas seconded.
I think Peter Lucas was first cab off the rank, so I think, but he's better than Maori, but I believe he should be allowed to be the second of the amendment. Thank you, Marty.
So Councillor Jones, if you're happy for that to be split into 3, we've got those 3 separate components.
Yeah, I'm happy for that, and if that meets the approval of Joe, I think that's a very reasonable solution. Kia ora.
I'll wait for Chris to let us know when she's ready. So we've got 3 amendments. We take one of them at a time. Recommendations are made.
It's an amendment, yeah, with three components. So the first will be that the report be received, and I don't know if you want to take 1 and 2 together, because so 1 and 2, the report be received, and then 2, that council resolve to retain its existing Māori constituency, Te Raki Māori. If you want to put that to vote, and then can deal with number 3 separately.
Okay.
It's Tui.
Yeah.
So
So your one's on the table. So that we
both 1 and 2?
Yes, 1 and
Yep.
2.
Cool.
So then we go all in favour.
Yep.
Can we do a show of hands and can we record the names, please?
So in favour of 1 and 2?
Yep.
And against?
And against?
1 against.
Okay, then we go down to, just wait for Chris to catch up. We've got 3 options.
So number 3,
This is the third
so the third component was that the CEO provide, or the Chief Executive Officer provide further information on the further implications of council not proceeding with a binding referendum. So we need to put that to the.
Okay, so we need a mover and a second.
So no, we've got the
Got-
mover and amendment.
Okay.
Thorough, being thorough.
All right. All in favour of that amendment?
Aye.
And yourself, Chair?
And against?
Carried.
Okay. That's correct.
We now have a substantive motion on the table, which is those 3 components. All were passed, so there's the opportunity for further discussion or further amendments at this point. If there's none, then we again.
Go voted again.
Yes, yeah, it's just a
Do we?
process.
Okay.
We have to vote again.
It's a substantive motion. That's we can't assume that's the end of the discussion. There could be further
Yeah.
amendments to come forth.
Okay.
If
No
not,
other amendments?
So can we just clarify what we were voting on now?
No, just that we're
that the substantive motion is carried, and that's it.
Okay,
Further amendments.
cool.
Over.
Aye.
No, I'm confused.
Yeah.
yes.
Abstained.
Marty, are you for? Sorry. Councillor Robertson. Sorry, which way did you vote for that last?
You're on mute.
You're on
Okay, all in favour?
Voted
John.
in favour, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, does anybody want to have a break at this moment?
You want me to leave for the next item?
Okay, so you're taking a break and nobody else is then.
Oh, well.
Just said that was quite a heavy session. If anybody wants to have a
Yeah, I
5
think
minute
it's a good
break,
idea, and I just won't come back.
carry on. Okay, we'll carry on. Okay, so we're up to page 101.
So
Regional Services Fund Allocation, item 7.2. Okay, so we've got the report from Chris Nichol. Okay, Chris is in the room and he's got 2 recommendations here. Do I have a mover and a second to take 2 recommendations together? Jack,
Second.
Tui. Okay, Jack, would like to talk?
Oh, we've workshopped this to death. I think we've arrived at the position that everyone agreed to that without any negative viewpoints as far as I'm talking about this year's allocation, not previous allocations. So I'm happy to move them as they are.
Okay, Tui, any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge everybody, not only internally at council, but also externally. You know, these types of discussions are high pressure and high emotion because we are talking about frontline services that are saving lives. And I'm happy that our council got it across the line. I would be, you know, hoping that in the future that we can invest more. But, you know, noting that we do have a meeting with Minister Reti coming up, because we do believe that some of the rescue services that we back, that we, you know, are filling a gap that he should be. So, you know, let's continue the discussion. Let's continue to work with one another for the safety and betterment of our region. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Tui.
Although this is not our core work, I definitely support it, and so do majority of the people who we've heard submitting on this. It's a great service that we provide, particularly the helicopter. It affects everybody, and St John's, it affects everybody as well. Life saving, Coast Guard, North Rescue, Sea Rescues, possibly not quite in the same bracket, but they're all really essential. So yeah, I support it. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. Okay. No other discussions? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay. Signaling in the room. Steve just. No. Okay. Is Rick coming back? Yep.
Should we tell them that we made an amendment and cut out self-love saving?
Yeah.
I don't think we've got time for that.
Got some bad news.
Who moved it? All right, okay.
only
Rick,
have a chance to have a drink.
yeah, page 108. There was some bad murmurs, but we're not. Okay. Ringata Kokorau Northern Economic Wellbeing Pathway, item 7.3. Okay, report by Gerald Jones, economic. Not in the room today. Oh, you're in the room. So if there's any discussions, I think there's only 2 recommendations here. I think we take them both together. So Rick is a
Second.
okay. Rick, you got any comment about this?
Look, I think we have workshopped it again. There's been a lot of work done on it, and I think it's a very, very sensible move forward, and I'm very happy to support it. And if anybody hasn't read it, please get into it and have a look, because it's really interesting reading. Thanks, Carol.
We actually signed it yesterday as a mural form.
Okay. Oh, good. Actually. So everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great.
Including PVC.
Oh, what's the document? Oh, sorry, it wasn't the Torino document.
No.
Not that one you said.
What did you sign?
It was the Northern.
I just saw the round circle and that. Justin said, "Do you know what you're signing?" I said, "It's not a money." Oh, Marty.
I've got a Harbour Bridge I can sell you.
Right.
I'm happy to speak to support.
Just Marty's got his hand up.
Marty.
Yeah, I'm speaking in support. There'll be some scratchy bits that some councillors might disagree with, but perfection is the enemy of the good. It's taken a long time to get this strategic document together, and you've got to know what you're aiming for before you can start to get a sense of direction. So we really have to have that long-term vision that we can work towards rather than against. So I'm in favour of our endorsing it. Kia ora.
Okay, Tui, sorry, you had your hand up.
That's okay,
That's
just
okay.
because I second it and I was a part of this process, so I was keen to speak. And I want to thank Northern Inc. for all of your work and for being here today. You know, look, the future looks like we're going to be working more closely together as well. And I really appreciate the work that you do. And I want to acknowledge Te Kahua Taunui and our Māori community leaders that were a part of this and brought it forward. And it's quite a diverse looking and feeling of the document, which is also attributed to the youth, I believe, that were involved. And I know that we're always, as leaders across councils, are really looking forward to taking it forward. So thank you, Jeff.
Okay, no, thank you, Tui. Okay, no other discussion around this item? Okay, all in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, Climate Resilient Community Fund, item 7.4, page 139. We've got 2 recommendations here. Happy to move those together, Amy?
I'm happy to second it.
Okay, John. Okay, Amy.
Look, I'm just really happy that we are getting this over the line, well, presumably. What we saw previously is a lot of interest in this kind of funding that we can provide to our communities around climate resilience, and more interest than we could service previously. So it's really exciting to have buffered this fund to make it a little bit bigger and make it a little bit broader. So looking forward to hearing from the team as they go through the process of getting applications and working with our communities and seeing what comes about. And just, it's a really great example of what I think we do really well here at NRC, and that is putting money out into small community groups where it can be used really efficiently, close to home, by local people making local choices. So yeah, just a really efficient and effective way to support our communities to take a lead on their climate resilience. So thank you to the team, and yeah, look forward to hearing more about it as it progresses. Kia ora.
Okay. No other discussion?
Oh, I just like to tell Toko, I think we're good at this and we're getting better at it too, by the way. I think that we've got the right mix of hands-on and hands-off. And I agree with Amy that we're putting the money where it's best used. So I'm really proud of this, and I'd like to thank the staff for an excellent report. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, just that second item, we talked about transmission energy use and greenhouse gas emissions reduction. It's so topical at the moment as we're going through a bit of a crisis with energy, and how this present government is bringing back possibly fossil fuels to keep our lights on, seeing our industry, some of our biggest gas users actually turning it off. So it's really topical at the moment. Yeah, building a circular economy. I mean, that's probably something we should be pushing harder. And yeah, we talk about wetlands and mangroves, and we're doing a lot of that work, aren't we, with Moana, aren't we? So yeah, thank you. I support it.
All right. Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Carried. Okay. Page 148. Okay, so we got Rangipahi Executive Panel confirmation of councillor subgroup, item 7.5. We've got 2 recommendations, and I think we've had one councillor put his hand up for this.
Me.
No, that's the next one.
That's the next one.
Councillor.
Huge. Yes, nice try, white man.
Sorry, we need a mover and a seconder. So Jack,
for where we haven't got the people yet.
oh, we haven't got people yet, so we'll just hold this one out.
No, yeah, no.
So can I suggest that we amend it so that there are 4 of us?
4 of you. Okay.
And my suggestion, and this is based on a prior discussion, my suggestion is Peter Lucas, Tui and Rick and myself. If everyone's comfortable with that, that's my suggestion.
Seems a lot.
Oh, the youth.
Setting up the youth.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want it?
Yeah, no, we're just discussing that. I've got the money now, so we can go ahead and do this.
I'm happy with it.
Okay, you happy to have 4?
Yeah, I think that gives us a bit of
Yeah.
resilience too, because people's diaries are really full. So should always be somebody available to meet with
You're
us.
I'm not happy till the money was approved, but that's good. It's done.
So we've got Amy, Rick, Tui and Peter Lucas.
Yeah, so Amy, you're moving that?
Amy, you're moving it?
Yeah, is that okay?
That's fine.
Yes, please.
I'll second it.
You'll second it, John? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, this is the one that I've got.
Yep.
Jack has put his hand up for.
I'd like to move this one and move that Jack,
Take both of them together.
yeah, and Jack Core be the councillor.
Yeah, I have a second that.
We'll have it a second. We better ask Jack.
Yeah, I'm very keen. I
Okay.
think it's a wonderful initiative. When we got that presentation here to a workshop, I was overjoyed with the planning that had already gone in and the vision of it all. And I think it'd be the making of this city.
Okay.
I've always said that the two greatest things that we could sort out in Northland would be to have a university here and to settle all outstanding treaty claims to the satisfaction of the iwi hapu. Thank you.
Okay. Sounds like we've got a unanimous decision. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay,
Thank you,
carried.
everybody.
Okay, we're going well for time. Page 162.
Keep it up.
Chair's report. Any questions in there?
Pretty serious one here,
Yes,
27 July, there are no broken ribs.
still got broken ribs.
Oh, okay. Well, the sequel question was who broke them for you?
I don't know. 3 guys fell on me. I didn't know which ass matched who. So,
Make sure that's in the minutes.
it was a good weekend, a lot of networking. Yeah, so, we met, Joe and John, myself with Murray McCulling about the seawall at Paihia, Marty as well, and Northland, no, what are they called?
Oh, no.
Barnard Moldies have got a consent for it at the moment. They did get $8.5 million from the RIF funding last time and it has been taken off them again. We're looking at it as an option. The Waitapu on the islands, there's a way around that. So, so we sort of want to start off with the iwi consultation first, and we've left it at Far North Holdings at the moment because they hold the power. And Andrew Johnson was there and he presented a case that if we did look at building it, maybe we could look at dredging to allow the cruise ships to come in and use it as a money-making option. Okay, so he was looking at dredging out deep enough and using that Wairaki clay, was it Wairaki? Yeah, to build the docking area. So, but it's all discussion at the moment. But the seawall is the most important one for the Paihia business at the moment. They're all quite concerned about it. I mean, the next storm coming. So apart from that, yeah, that was good. So can I have a mover and a seconder for that?
You can move it.
I'll move it.
Just,
Can I have a seconder?
I can second.
just one point before we put it. You co-signed that letter that I wrote, well, like Caden wrote it, sorry, that I signed to go to the Minister of Biosecurity, thanking him for the 10 million advance to the northern regions and putting our case for the lion's share of it and also pointing out a range of issues. So it was a well crafted letter. Thank you, Caden. I'm not sure whether you'd put that in there, but he did co-sign it.
I think it might have been after the month finished.
Think?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
But that's all right.
Put it in next month.
Next month.
And just one question from me, Mr. Chair. On July the 11th, you met with Minister David Seymour and Mayor Vince Coccarello. I'm just wondering what the outcome of that meeting was.
Okay, I was invited by Vince. So we talked about the Knowledge Hub. We talked about his support in it. And first he'd heard of it. He was a bit, I wouldn't say anti it, but he asked a lot of questions about North Tech and their role and, stuff like that. I didn't get a feel of enthusiasm from him. We talked about the Brenduans and how that Joe Carr had presented to government another option and we'd been turned down. He was more surprised about that, how they hadn't considered it. And he was taking that back to government as, why didn't you consider another option done by Joe? So apart from that, nothing else really came out of it that was groundbreaking. Those were the main NRC points that we talked about. Not a lot, really. Vince did most of the talking, as you can imagine. Yeah. He presented, I went to a lunch with him at the Chamber of Commerce and he did a presentation there. was just mainly the business community having real anxiety about the Brenduans Road and our security around like the transmission lines obviously was a valid point then, and the cost of energy that was putting stress on the being able to produce goods. And we talked about the Brenduans options there. There was Cullum Engineering there. It was that they could build a sort of a bridge up one side of them, side of the Brenduans, and that was just a general discussion. Any other issues? Okay. Oh, the other thing I did was really push harder onto David Seymour was our predator control and how successful we've been around the Barb Islands, and that we had that there $1 million that was up for negotiation, that Pest-Free wanted to take it back, and that we really needed his support around the cabinet table to keep our good work going through the Barb Islands area, taking it from Whangarei Heads. So he was well over that. So. Okay, can I have a mover and a second? Oh, I've got a mover and a seconder. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, we've got Jono's report, item 8.2, page 163. So do I have a...
Yep, I'll move that.
Mover? Rick?
I'm happy to second.
Amy? Okay, any discussion about Jono's report?
Some.
No, I just want to, I had a day with Coast Care team the other day planting out at Waipu Cove, and just great to see so please pass on my thanks. They're a great team, and you know, we got 1,000 plants in the ground in about 3 hours, so they're an awesome team. So let's keep it going. Thank you, and thank the councillors too for supporting, because I think that team's growing now. You know, from a few years ago it was just 1 and now it's 3, so it's awesome.
94 with your involvement.
Yeah.
You know,
I did most of the whole
question.
I just alluding to the rainfall we've had. It looks like last year we had 2 years supply, and it's really starting to bite us now, and it's starting to get quite dry. So this trend has sort of started in March and it's carrying on. So I've got farmers talking about drought already.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
Oh, yeah, I just noticed on page 179 of the report, talking about sentiment. Must come through our sort of polling systems regarding the line of the Northport consent, and there's public sentiment was 66.7 against that decision and 33.3. Oh, it's pretty amazing. It's such a perfect split. 2/3, 1/3, but it's much a concern to the majority of our community that didn't proceed that consent process for the expansion of Northport.
Okay, John, are you? Did have your hand up?
I just clearly take the report as read, but I just did want to highlight, it's in the highlight section, but is the Otiria Modiwa spillway. It really has been a long project with the community of Otiria and Modiwa, and one that even that for staff as well. It started off with Bruce, then came through me as group manager, and it now sits with Louisa, and is really a great example and something that I think we should be. I think Councillor Shortland acknowledged it as well. There as this is a way we should be looking at working as a council with our communities. We came in with we're the engineers, this is what the solution is going to be, and that wasn't that well received by the community. We spent a lot of time working with the community to identify what they were looking for, what they wanted, and what the solution looked like, and it's really just a great outcome. I haven't been to a public event or a meeting like that where there's been so much emotion of support, gratitude, appreciation, both for the outcome but also for the way in which council has undertaken that activity. And yeah, just think it's worth acknowledging here today.
Can I just speak to that? Sometimes we get winners that are obvious when you build a new highway, a new hospital, it's there, but this is flood. If we don't get the flood, we don't know what the use of that was. So after the next big flood, we should be out there with the media and say, look what we achieved.
Yeah, if I could just add to it, so aroha mai. One of the great successes of that as well has been how we've been able to fund it. It's a community that can't afford a flood scheme if they were all paying for it by themselves. Recognition should go to council for the 70-30 split that it provides through its rating to be able to provide it, but also all of the other funding that we were able to advocate for and that central government brought to the table meant that that flood scheme was built, and don't 100% quote me on it, but in around 8 cents in the dollar came from the local community to construct that flood scheme, which again I just think is a great outcome of being able to support the community to get a level of service that they otherwise wouldn't be able to afford.
There's one thing I'd like to acknowledge is our KMR representatives. I think it's an outstanding project, and thanks for being involved through you. Been a recipient of quite a bit of funding and done a lot of planting, and thanks for making that happen.
They have outstanding staff leadership. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment also on Jono's comments about the arterial spillway. I remember I went to the public meeting about 4 odd years ago, and it was extremely vocal. There was a majority in favour, but there was quite a strong minority implacably opposed, and Jono had to bear the brunt of it. And I know Councillor Yeoman and I were there, and there were some harsh words said about council, and of course most of it was untrue, but Jono took it all on. I thought, there's a mark of a future leader. He didn't criticise anybody, but he took all the approbation on board. But we moved forward. At the end of the meeting, it was one of those perfect meetings where you end up with a whole lot of division and then discussion, and we arrived at a pretty much a unified agreement to proceed with everybody. And that was just a wonderful example of how you need to have those meetings. And ever since then, this thing has proceeded. You know, it's a difficult journey because you've got private land ownership and you've got a whole bunch of charges on people who don't have a lot of money. But anyway, it's proceeded beautifully since then, and now we have a wonderful asset and great protection for the community. So I'd like to thank the CE for his work on this right through, as well as Joe Camuso and all the other folks. Thank you.
Just a little comment, don't let the job end there.
Yeah.
Because we had a meeting in 2008, Craig Brown, council came up to Kawa. We met at the St John's their hall. Those minutes want to be read. We must dig them up and read them, because this job's been done, but the actual frustration the community has flooding around Turahonga and also State Highway 1, and the fact that Mid-North Hospital is people was a very big issue that we've still got to address. I'd love to see those minutes, but we had staff up there recording the meeting. Yeah, don't want to forget it, because the community called for the meeting. It was we responded by going to a meeting that's community called, not the other way around.
Okay.
And it was packed.
Good history there, Joe.
Yeah. There would be a little action that someone could dig up the minutes for that. Would be great.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So,
all good.
I just have a question. We on page 167. Is it appropriate to raise that now?
Yeah.
The ahipara consent status expires in 2023. I just noticed the compliance for the last 12 months is largely significantly non-compliant. And ahipara.
Yep.
And then the smaller portion is moderately uncompliant. And whilst there is a new SCUV unit currently being installed, the commissioning period with a note here expected to be completed by end of September 2024. There's a sign near the Wairoa River, which I'd imagine that we're aware of because the Haukainga, Mr. Chair, or the people from that area have been raising concerns about the pollution in the Wairoa River for some time. And I'm wondering, is that related? Like, do our staff or whoever is responsible for these types of addressing these types of concerns through you, Mr. Chair, do we know what that pollution is and where it comes from? Is it in any way related to human waste that is being transported to the site? I think it's important that we learn about that, particularly because this indicates for the last 12 months that we are uncompliant in that area. And I'm wondering if that has any impact on the river.
Okay, Colin?
Through the chair, and this is going to be a joint response from myself and Ruben, because we are both involved in this in terms of the work that has been done. We attended a hearing a couple of years ago now, and yes, that's when we listened to the concerns of the local Iwi Hapu about the state of river, and part of that was obviously the compliance issue with the wastewater treatment plant, which has been reported regularly. And the other component of that is the bigger picture. And Ruben, one of Ruben's teams, has done some work in that regard. Ruben, and that.
Colin, really chair. Yeah, so we've been working with the takiwā out there to do some monitoring upstream, downstream, and the discharge point to look at contamination. So we looked at E. coli and nutrients predominantly. We found that the wastewater treatment systems appear to be contributing to contamination within the stream when it comes to E. coli. We did identify that there is quite high nutrients within the stream, which may be partially linked to the wastewater discharge point. The challenge there is that the current consent doesn't include violence in terms of nutrient contamination. What I would say though is that the bigger picture is that we're working with the takiwā across, not just for compliance, but around catchment management as well. So we're actively working with takiwā and Te Raroa through the mihi project around stock exclusion across the entire catchment. So we're utilising funding, grant funding to support that. And they have a really long-term approach around improving that catchment. And so the next step is to identify how we can support that in the long term.
I'm happy to receive, further information through. I would like to learn more about it, particularly because at high level, our regional council plays a role in the management of natural resources, of which water is one. So I think we can learn something from the rules and the regulations contained within the consent. But I think it's important for us to also be aware of our role as a council. And so there could be a couple of things here that we would need to address. Water quality, I think, is important, particularly when we know that that water in the Wairoa flows out to Te Oneroa Tohe. Te Oneroa Tohe is the kāpatakai, or the food cupboard of those marae and those whānau that live in that area. And shellfish is collected along Te Oneroa Tohe and has been for hundreds, if not thousands of years. I think we have a responsibility here to learn more about the condition of the river. And I'd be keen to know if any follow-up we haven't heard, noting the disclosure of a meeting 2 years ago, because 2 years is actually quite a long time.
Through the chair, yeah, we've had a number of meetings with the Takiwa and the Mihi project. Most recent one was several months ago. That was to advance two things. Firstly, how we can support a catchment approach to improving the water quality within the Wairoa catchment. But secondly, so that we can understand how we can provide support when it comes to monitoring the well-being of the waterway. So those are ongoing discussions, and we're building a really positive way forward in the context of a partnership with those two parties.
I do have a follow-up question, Mr. Chair, and the reason for this is because it's about the health of a resource and the impact it could have on human beings consuming kaimoana if they don't know about the water quality that flows into the area that they might gather kai from. I think it's important. I note that there is a sign up that has been established there by the Runanga. Do we have any responsibility through you, Mr. Chair, to advise the general public of the potential impact? Because we know now, as councillors, we all know, because we've learnt from two of our key staff that the water quality is a concern and that there is a very real risk that some sewage or pollution is coming from the system that is not compliant. Do we have a sign there, or whose responsibility is it to inform the public?
So you're asking, is there a level of water testing done in the area, and it's kept to a level?
We've just had that confirmed.
Yeah. So then you need, okay.
I'm asking about public notification and whose responsibility is it? Is it ours or is it somebody else's?
It's usually medical officer of health.
Yeah, can I just pass that to Colin, because we've got an MOU between ourselves, district councils and
The Whanaora Northland Health.
Health that splits up those roles and responsibilities. So do you want to just clarify for Councillor Jones?
It's one of those issues where there is crossover, and the issue you've raised, Councillor Jones, is more on that issue of the public health aspect and the kaimoana. So the signposting to warn of potential dangers to the public primarily rests between the Whanaora or Health Board and a local district council.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to understand that, because having learnt that information, I'm wondering how we communicate what we know about water quality to those people that are responsible. Because similarly, we have a case of extreme interest in the Hokianga.
And the so the MOUs provides clarification around roles, responsibilities, and including the point that you raised there around NRC does some of the monitoring. If we find X, then there's protocols in place for Colin and his team to be able to notify both the District Council and Ministry of Health. I do wonder if there's...
Do we have a record of the information we have learnt being communicated like you've just described?
Yeah. Just to go a little bit further as well, in terms of shellfish testing, again, that sort of primarily, I think MPI does shellfish testing as well, more for the commercial purposes, not for the recreational. So there's another player as well. So
I wonder.
We certainly do notify, particularly when we know there's been a spill in particular. We do certainly keep in touch with Northland Health in that regard to warn of that potential risk.
Kia ora, Chair. I wonder if there's a briefing that we just prepare that covers off all of the points that you've raised, Councillor Jones. We can sort of provide a bit of context around the korero that's been happening with the takiwā, and we can provide some more information around the consent conditions and its level of compliance, and also on our communications with District Council and around public notification. Would that be?
That sounds like a great idea, but just to like circle back around to why I'm asking this question is the ahipara consent status, according to the report I have in front of me, has been uncompliant pretty much for 12 months. And so that's the origin of my concern around the water quality. Kia ora.
Sorry, just to respond to that, that's the primary reason why they had to bring in a whole new treatment component to add to the system.
And I understand that mine is about water quality in the river. Kia ora.
I'd welcome that report and support Peter Lucas. I think we've got the technology now that we're instead of just talking E. coli, we want to actually source track it. We want to know about human E. coli, because the likelihood of pathogens to humans is manifestly higher when you've got human E. coli detected. And we should do that. In Australia, with the shellfish out in the sea, we should be reporting on whether it's tracking back to humans, and we want to know that link to humans. It's absolutely critical with ahipara, and I suggest kaikoe and other where we've got problem wastewater treatment plants. We really want to drill down there and really have a good handle on the risk levels, the real risk levels of people getting ill from human bacteria. And we're not doing it. Okay. You know, I understand the resource consent for the keri discharge requires that measure, but others don't. And we need a bit of an East Coast influence on the East Coast.
Is that a question you'd like to ask?
I'd like that in the report.
Okay.
Yeah, happy to include some commentary around the current approach. Is basically is what you're looking at to the monitoring of our wastewater plants.
I want bacteria to be actually tracked back where it's human source. So we actually know what the real risk is. We need a discussion about what the risk is if you using source track levels of contamination versus just general E. coli. You know, we want to know, understand that. I've never seen a paper with council on that.
How about Chair? We do the briefing paper. We include the points the cars raised, and we can put it on the council website.
Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. No other discussions.
Just one point. Kaikoe is not much further ahead than Ahipara, so it's interesting. Got two in the same area, and the way that river comes out onto that 90-mile beach. Yeah, it looks like it must be quite a problem for 90-mile beach. Yeah, it doesn't come out like a river. It sort of runs along the beach. Yeah, just googling it. Thank you.
Lagoon, kids like playing in it.
They're trying.
I used to play in that lagoon when I was a kid.
All
All right. Okay. Can we, we've got a mover and a seconder. All in favour? Again? Carry. Okay, item 8.3. Is 188.
I'd like to move.
Okay, good check. And can I have a seconder?
Yep, I'll second.
Okay, Rick, we've got, it's a recommendation that the reporting on long-term plan 2021 to 2031 performance measures for the year ended to 30th of June 2024 by Robin Broadhurst, Corporate Planning Specialist, and dated 16th of July 2024 be received. We're going to move in a second. All in favour?
Hang on. Discussion.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'd just like to thank the staff for an outstanding result. You know, some of these measures are pretty tough, and we've made them. The only one I'd comment on is 3.4 was percentage of residents surveyed who are satisfied with overall communication, community involvement, and engagement, and it's only 33% that are very satisfied or satisfied, and about 40% that are neutral, and probably, I don't know, about 20% that are dissatisfied. I'm just wondering, I mean, we'll probably raise this every year, but I'm just wondering if there's a way we can nuance the questions in order to get more accurate results. Because, you know, from a councillor's point of view, the number of submissions we got on the LTP should be proof enough that we're doing an outstanding job of communicating with our ratepayers. And that's just one arbiter. There's a whole lot of other things, but we get to see, you know, the kind of communications that go out and the stuff that comes back. And that's not just media releases, that's Enviro schools, it's our field days and our workshops and all the other work we do. And I'd say that we're doing them at least as good as we were 5 years ago when I first became a councillor. I think we're probably doing them better. So I think I'm just wondering how we can get results that more accurately reflect the quality of the work we're doing, rather than just saying, well, are you satisfied with the overall communication? Because as everybody knows, a lot of people confuse us with every other council, and people say, oh, council, they're not happy with the rates, therefore they're not happy with the comms. I don't know, I don't have any answers, I'm not a comms expert, but if there's a way we could nuance our questions better so we get more meaningful results, that would help us all. Just a request.
I just had his hand up as a response.
Kia ora, Chair. Kia ora, Jack. I also raised similar sort of questions when reading through the report. I also note in the very small sample size.
Yeah.
So for 3.5, there's only 23 people. I think we need to have another look, and I've already started conversations with Robin and the team around how do we actually engage with our community to get these results, and to make sure that we've got a good representative sample size on surveying our community, to make sure that the results that we're getting back here is actually a bit more robust. 23 people is a very small sample.
Well, rather than asking people, what do you think? If you ask them as a result at the end of each exercise that you have with those people, what they think, so that you're actually engaging at that point, you might get slightly more accurate results. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but that might help. It's like, rather than having a exercise for the whole region and just asking people to come back to you, of course, a lot of people, the only people that are going to come back are people that are aggrieved about something. So if you have it activity by activity, it might be more reflective. Thank you.
Okay, well, Johnny's going to take that on board. You've raised it already. I'm just surprised that we've had 365 Lagoimas. Okay, Rick?
I'm not surprised about the Lagoimas, Chair. Look, I think people go to the red straight away, and you know there are some things there, but you look at the greens, and I think there should be a green plus. Like when you think of the areas under pest control, it's almost double. You know, the target was 5, and it's almost 9. So you know it's pretty impressive, and I think it's like we've said before, a regional council started it, and the communities have taken it on board. So they've done it's a fantastic result all around. So definitely a green plus for me on that one. Thanks.
Okay, any other communication? Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Right.
Against? Carried. Okay, item 9. Page 190. Unconfirmed minutes. Is this transport? Sheet of minutes. Just bring it up, sorry. The recommendation that the unconfirmed minutes of the Extraordinary Regional Transport Committee, 4th of July 2024, the Te Honorary Tauhi Board, 12th of July 2024, Joint Regional Economic Development Committee, 6th of July 24, Regional Transport Committee, 6th of August 24, be received.
Okay, I'm happy to support that.
Okay. Mover and a seconder?
Yep, all good.
Did you go to all those meetings?
No, you still move the receipt of them.
Yeah. Okay, any discussion there?
Yeah, just like to, page number, 215, item 8.5 of the Regional Transport committee. I've got the right. Yeah, I have. We found out at that meeting that $8 million for road safety because it wasn't spent and it's not carried over. And, you know, that was pretty gutting because we've got really high death rates in Northland. So that was a little bit of a black spot. We had a really good bright spot. We had the road asset managers from all three councils speak on their restructuring since the 70A review, and they're all extremely positive, and that appears to be going very well. And I'd like to say, on the ground in the far north, clearly something's happened there. It's great improvements that I've observed up there. But the actual at our transport committee, what we have is our the asset managers for roading sitting with the actual elected representative at the table, and that is really good because there's a really good technical dialogue happening, and I just think it's going to make things go really well. Thank you.
Anybody tied up with any other committees? Jack, Rick, you all happy? Any other discussion? Okay, all in favour? Against? Carried. 9.1.
So we go 9.2.
As far as the parties. Okay, the report of the working party updates be received. Can I have a mover? Jack? Anybody else?
I'll see you.
Go. No issues?
No, I think we had a great meeting actually. Things are happening along. I'd like to thank the staff. Things are tracking along quite nicely.
Well, new chair, you know, it's going to fly along.
I'm sure that was the reason. But we're getting better cooperation from WDC than previously, I have to say. Things are progressing quite nicely, Mr. Chairman.
Good. Okay. Any other discussion around this issue? Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, passed. Okay, page 218.
I'm happy to move us into, we're moving in, aren't we?
Recommendations are moving into
Yep,
public
I'll do that.
consultation. Can I have a mover? John,